This is Heart Rhythm TV, and I'm your host for Women EP series, Dr. Kamala Tamirisa, cardiac electrophysiologist with Texas Cardiac Arrhythmia based in Dallas. I am super excited to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Judith Mackall. Dr. Mackall is a full professor of medicine at Case Western Reserve University. She's also the first chair endowed for cardiac electrophysiology and Spitz Master Clinician in Cardiology at University Hospitals Cleveland Medical Center. She is the medical director for Harrington Heart and Vascular Institute Clinical Trials Unit and also a program director for clinical cardiac electrophysiology and pacing. With that, Dr. Mackall, thank you so much for making time for us and coming on our show.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
And let's start with your journey. You know, I was looking through your CV and I realized you were a chemical engineer. How did you start from chemical engineering to EP?
Well, you're strong in math and science. And as you move through your high school and collegiate career, I think you gravitate toward professions that, play to that interest and that strength. Engineering was very challenging and very gratifying. During college, I think a lot of my peers were pursuing degrees in medicine. And so I think I got interested. After college, I was working as a chemical engineer, and I found it fascinating, but I missed a lot of the personal interaction. And I decided that, the opportunity arose that I could go, that I was accepted into medical school, and I decided to take that opportunity. And I was very happy eventually.
That is impressive. I mean, going from engineering, I know EP has a lot of technological aspects to it, but that was a very unique part in your journey. And tell us more about, you have achieved so much, and how did you balance your work and life? That is such a key point for men or women who want to pursue a career in EP.
I think that there are always choices along the way. And I think, people were always like, well, you can't do everything, you can't have it all. But I think that you can prioritize what you really want. And there are so many things, available to help you be successful. You can hire someone to clean your house. You can hire someone to be with the children when you're at work. And you can surround yourself and your family with a good support system. And I think it's possible, and you don't have to regret choosing a career.
That's very beautifully said. The regret, I want our audience to remember that you don't have to have the regrets, but prioritize and get help. It takes a village to, do anything in life. So you very well said that. What keeps you motivated to lead and do research and teach?
Well, I'm sure that everybody who's been at it for a long time does hit points where it becomes very routine, and it kind of you lose some of the novelty and the enthusiasm. And I think that whenever, you come to a place like that, patients are inspiring, and their problems and their diseases are what really push me to become interested in cardiovascular genetics, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, arrhythmogenic right ventricular cardiomyopathy. So it's really patient problems that push you, and then you take advantage of opportunity, and it does keep everything new and interesting. And it's amazing how things interrelate and how kind of having a big picture is very helpful. So I think, everybody probably has something that inspires them. And for me, it's patient care.
Wow, that is very, very well said, Judy. Patients are why we went into medicine. And this is, patients keep us inspired and motivated. And let's move on to another aspect of EP. Women in EP are still a minority. And do you think there's important role for gender concordant mentor-mentee roles for women to succeed? With very few of us in the field, how do we encourage and engage men to be our allies, mentors, and sponsors?
It's very interesting. When I started, there weren't a lot of women. I have to say, I was very fortunate. I was at university hospitals at Case. I was surrounded by extraordinary mentors, Albert Waldo, Mark Carlson, Lee Biblow, and I never ever felt that gender was an issue. I never felt that it came into any of the discussion. And I never realized that other women had issues in their fields and in their groups. But the reality is eventually you're going to migrate into a section or a group and it's going to hit you. And it is a little shocking. But I think when you work with like-minded individuals who are goal-oriented and who share your same values, they can promote you and inspire you and collaborate with you. And I think most people, men and women, as you said, who are in medicine are really in it for the right reason. And so I think, selecting essentially good people, men or women, to help you along the way and to work with is helpful.
Yes, and that is so true. My personal journey, my mentors and sponsors have been men because I was the only female EP fellow. And you're absolutely right. I think like-minded people and collaborators is independent of the gender. Beautifully said. And, looking at your CV, I wanted to tie it all together. You're very passionate about education. And as you mentioned, the patients, and yet you make time for research and collaborative leadership, and you have lifted so many along the way, so many mentees. I can't believe that this journey would come without barriers. When you see barriers of any form, how do you push through? Is it resilience, and what's your best ally? How do you push through?
This is where your women colleagues really help you the most. I have recognized that, the women in EP group, for one, along the way when things have not been easy or straightforward, I remember early in my career, I went to a women in EP program that Ann Curtis and Jody Hurwitz were sponsoring. And I felt I was just surrounded by other women going through the same thing, having gone through the same thing. They were being upbeat, they were being successful, which I think is important to realize, that you can be successful despite what you come against, and somehow finding your voice. So I do think when you're a minority, it's important to have peers of your like gender, in this case, to help you to lean on.
Lean on, absolutely. And, the medical director for the Harrington Heart and Vascular Institute Clinical Trials Unit, that's a new title.
Mhm.
And what's exciting about it? Tell us more about it.
Well, I've been involved in clinical trials for a very long time. This is really going to age me, but I think I got hooked with CAST. I thought that, wow, this is amazing. I think Debbie Yacht was leading that trial. So what an amazing role model. And the outcomes really changed how we took care of patients and really impacted a lot of patient lives. And all of the EP trials that kind of came out of that and came after that, all the device trials, all the heart failure trials, they're so impactful. And patients who participate in clinical trials are so, they're pioneers and they're altruistic. And so it's a very inspiring part of what we do. The clinical trials unit at university hospitals, the Heart and Vascular Center, they have over 3,000 patients now participating in different clinical trials. And a leadership opportunity came up, and it's certainly in areas that have nothing to do with EP. But I thought it would be a nice way for me to delve into that area a little more, and I'm excited about it.
I love your enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious. The last thing in the questions I had for you is you do the Women in EP annual program. And how did you start with it? And just tell everyone else about it. I want to know more about it too. So
very early on, when there really weren't very many women, Medtronic was sponsoring a Women in EP program, and Ann Curtis and Jody Hurwitz were chairing that, and they still do it. And I do believe it is now over 25 years. And about 13 years ago, St. Jude decided that they wanted to also participate in promoting women in electrophysiology. And they were looking for somebody on the West Coast and someone on the East Coast. Cleveland is on the East Coast, in case you didn't know, to kind of bring women from both sides of the country together. And Ricky had been involved in a Women in EP program that I believe was sponsored by Boston, and they were maybe Guidant at the time, and they were stepping away from that. And so it was just this opportunity. I had never met Ricky, surprisingly. And we got together to plan the first meeting. And it was, I think, just extraordinary. It was an extraordinary meeting. We decided we wanted it to be great science because women were giving up time with their families and traveling. And so it had to be more than, a get together in a nice hotel. It really had to impart useful information. And I feel every year like it gets better.
absolutely. And I've
I'm
been
biased.
No, I've been to many of those, and you're absolutely right. It's more than a get together. We go there, exchange of knowledge, the innovation, and and inspiration. As a fellow, I used to go for these, and I used to draw inspiration just by looking at these women, and it just gives you that space for yourself, saying, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Mhm.
And so very grateful to Women in EP, all the names you mentioned, and to the Heart Rhythm Society. We have had 6 presidents. That's incredible, 6 women presidents, and that's incredible. And leaders like you keep us motivated, and we truly appreciate that. Any other final thoughts of wisdom, anything you want to share with people like us?
Well, I would like to say that I think that the women electrophysiologists that I have worked with and collaborated with have almost uniformly been outstanding individuals. And I would hope that we could encourage more women to choose this subspecialty because the contribution that we make is really significant. And I don't know how to make people want to do it. I don't know how to tell everybody. It's just super fun and super exciting. But I think you're welcome in this field. And I hope that we can do maybe a better job of that over the next, decade or two.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Mackall, for making time for us and to the Heart Rhythm TV. Thank you very much.